Welcome to Off Script. I'm one of your co-hosts, Will.
And I am Ashley. And today we are here to share the full disclosure on episode 2. We're kind of continuing our series on questions to ask if you are transitioning brokerages or to a new team, things that you should ask them as you're transitioning. And today we're going to talk a little bit about leads, support, marketing, and tools. Last week we touched on culture. So today we're going to dive a little bit more into more of like the systems and operations side of things.
Yeah, so we're getting a little bit more detailed.
Yep.
Stuff that you can touch, feel, see, right? Like stuff that you actually help to use, build your business and from a support standpoint. And that's either going to be people or systems. So we'll kind of go through some of the stuff that we provide for our team that we think is right, and also some questions to ask.
Okay.
I think the one thing to always remember, like we talked about this, I think, in one of our earlier episodes, when it comes to teams, 3 types of teams. There's personality and mentor-based teams. There's lead-based teams, and then there's teams that operate off of systems and value, which is what we're wanting to build and working to build with Toast Real Estate. And so we're going to kind of go through those, and you'll hear just hints of what those are throughout the entire process of asking questions and the podcast today.
So we're going to just go right into it, leads. And I feel like this is always a hot topic and a controversial topic because everywhere you go promises leads. Pretty much, in some sort of fashion or degree. So, every brokerage or every team is offering you leads, but we're going to kind of touch into what questions you should ask surrounding that regarding the leads. So, you want me to just dive right into it? So, very first one, there's a huge difference between having leads and having systems to convert them. So, the first question we would ask is, are leads provided? And if so, how are they distributed?
Yeah. I think this is a really good starting point, right? Like, if a team's only value is leads, I would never look at that as a long-term team I was going to be on. So if you're needing a spark in your business, you're trying to get things going or learn and develop, I think leads being like a main reason a team is built can kind of be a little bit dangerous for your career, because I think you can learn some bad habits by only relying on those leads. But some things to ask are, how are leads created? So are you purchasing them from like your bigger companies, Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com? Is it something where you're hiring out to they have ISA businesses that will provide you leads? Is it referrals, or is it something along the lines of Facebook or social media leads? So there's so many different types of leads. And when a team is probably needs to work on is honing in, if there's several different types of leads coming from that team, you just want to make sure that they have systems to convert, numbers that show what those kind of leads are producing, rather than just having like, we have 10 lead sources and good luck.
Yeah, I almost feel like they have to have a very, very clear path on what type of leads they're doing, like you said, because you can just dump a database of leads in someone's plates that are old, or you're having to reactivate those. Are they warm leads? Are they nurtured? Are they just tossed your way? Like, what type of leads? Because to me, leads are, they can be dead leads completely that they worked 3 years ago and just handed you an Excel spreadsheet.
Yep. Or they that ranges all the way from that to, we're buying as many Zillow leads or Realtor.com leads as possible. And do you have the scripting and the structure and the schedule in order for you to convert those? And I think that's really important. So for us, we stayed away from those type of leads because it wasn't our what we do well, I would say, or at least not at this time. Our big focus is providing a structure, schedule, and just a business structure for you to produce leads from your database. So that's our it's our main thing that we're kind of focusing on, is helping our agents understand how to convert their database into leads and referrals from them. And then all the other things like social media and internet leads are all add-ons to what we do.
Yeah. And then we've had a whole episode on this if you want to learn more about our ISA process, but we do provide some leads through our ISA department, and we're really trying to focus on not just handing off leads, but handing off appointments. So having a much more warm, nurtured lead that's ready to actually meet with an agent, because that gives us a little bit more control over that whole process, instead of just, here's a million leads and hope they convert and work them, because that gets really, really costly to a lot of team owners or brokerages if they're just distributing leads, especially to unskilled agents, new agents, or agents they haven't trained on how to convert those leads. And that's where I think there's a lot of failures with team-based with lead-based teams, it's not that they're not providing good leads, because Zillow and Realtor leads can be really good, but they're not training and teaching their agents necessarily how to convert those at a high level, and then what to do with those after they close the deal.
Yeah, I think that's where you see larger teams at. It's a smart way to go about it, but leads have gotten more and more and more expensive over the years, and so you have to have more agents converting more leads in order for you to, hit the numbers that you used to be able to hit. So yeah, our big focus, and we knew this was probably like a 1 to 2 year process. We're about a year into this, to where we're going to be our focus is to be setting appointments for our agents. So when you think about leads on our team, our core team, you obviously provide our buyer agent Katie with leads, and then our ISA fuels that too. So we can talk about both of those, but you want to talk about our core team and versus shared services and Iowa leads, stuff like that.
Yep. So core team, we've touched on this before, just consists of 2 agents right now. Myself as the listing agent, so I work just the listings. Katie works just the buyers, so she gets buyer leads. Any buyer that I pick up, or if it's somebody in my own sphere, database, even if it's my mom, my dad, it doesn't matter. I do not work buyers. Every single one of those leads go to Katie, with no exception. We just had $1 million, it's a great example, just a very, very good, somebody in my sphere, a good friend of mine, somebody in my sphere is buying over $1 million home. Only had to show the house one time and ready to write an offer. That'd be very easy for me to take that lead myself and just write up that contract and take that full commission, but that's not what our model is. We're very, very true to our model. So that went straight over to Katie, and she's now working that $1 million lead. So, that's just how our process works on the core team. And then anything that comes from our ISA department first goes to core team. And if our pipeline is too full, which it's getting to that point right now, then all of that flow over currently is going to our shared services model. Yeah,
just to back up just a quick second. So for our core team, and as that continues to build out, that part of our team is really grows by hire or by growth, right? So once capacity's hit, then we'll continue to add probably another buyer agent at some point. Long-term goal, obviously for you, I believe, is to get out of production. So we'll have a listing agent or, 2, 3, whatever that looks like down the road. But our core team leads also go both ways. So whenever Katie has a listing lead, that goes to you. So it's it's a well-oiled machine at this point. Our entire leadership staff and our operational staff as well. If there's a lead that comes from them, friends, family, all those kind of things, they get a piece of that, but also that's done by core team.
Yeah, so we've really focused building a model where there's an incentive for anyone and everyone. In that, I didn't even think to touch on our operations team. So our salaried employees, our W-2 employees, if they bring in business, they're not licensed agents. Those go to Katie and I first, and they, get a piece of that pie, if you will, or a bonus for bringing that business into the team. So we're incentivizing everyone, regardless if they're an agent or not, to, manage up our company, our team, bring those leads in and to be incentivized for it.
Yep. And then shared services. Yeah. If we have, let's say, a referral that you guys aren't having the time to cover, those will start to go to shared services as well as our ISA leads when you guys are too busy.
Yep. And shared services, just as a reminder, that's our agents that work both buyers and sellers. So, a lot of the flow over goes there. Or, the goal for me would be that Katie and I are so busy with just our sphere and database that we don't even need to work any of the ISA leads. Would be like in a perfect world. And we're getting there. We're very, very busy and pretty much at capacity right now, which is why we're hiring showing assistants and a full-time assistant for me as well on the listing side, so that we can increase our capacity, because right now we're kind of at a ceiling right now.
Yep. And again, what we do with core team spills over into our shared services with our ISA department. So really great example this weekend or this week. You have an appointment this afternoon at 2:00 that was set by them. So what we're focusing on in the ISA department is figuring out a process from, meeting somebody to appointment and perfecting that over time. We have one ISA that is in the Caribbean, and Anthony manages her. He's our lead manager. So we have 2 people that are essentially calling around our listings. Every single listing that we have, we call circle dial around, and we have Facebook leads. So long-term internet leads that are, I would say, softer leads, right? Like they're not quite ready today. And we're trying to figure out how we can get to these people before your Zillows and your bigger companies, and perfect a system where at some point, yes, when you guys are at capacity, for our shared services agents, we're just setting appointments for them. Hey, listing appointment tomorrow at 2:00, and then we have a process of getting ready and a pre-seller call, that kind of stuff. But that's our process for leads.
Yeah, and it's been a journey. Nothing's perfect. We'd be lying if we got there and said we got it right from the very beginning. We've been navigating it, but I think it's getting better and better and better because our ISA skill sets are getting better, where they were much softer leads at first that were more of like handing off into a phone call for us to pre-qualify them. But now I feel like this one worked beautifully that I have today at 2. I mean, Anthony did a really, really good job nurturing that lead up to appointment. So when I called him, he was like, yep, I know exactly why we're meeting. We're good. I didn't really have to do much to sell myself, if you will. And it was just an appointment set ready to meet with me to list their home.
100%. And so we're getting better at the follow-up process and getting better to the handoff. That's the hardest part for an ISA, especially when we're new, is the handoff part of it.
Yep.
So when we think about internet leads too, like when you're asking these questions to other brokerages and teams, what is the conversion rates? Great question to ask, because if they're not tracking their numbers, how would you ever know how you're going to do? You're going to have to do all this yourself. So do they have a system to help you track your numbers? Do they have a schedule that works generally for the leads that they provide? And then do they have follow-up systems that say, when you get a lead, do these things, and you should convert at a higher level?
And I would almost add, this is kind of touching into next week's episode, kind of the close out our 3-part series, but do they have accountability to that too? Because you can provide people with tracking and tools and systems, but if they're not using it, following it, or accountable to it as a team leader and as the agent, I mean, it doesn't really matter. So.
Yep. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where they're just saying, here's leads, good luck. Do they have a structure as a group that they practice together, that they make calls together, all those kind of things? You're building a culture and a structure that helps you convert leads, if that's the main thing. So
yes.
You want to switch to systems?
Yes.
Your favorite thing?
We have about 3 things in this series that we wanted to talk about. So leads were one of the things. The other is other support and marketing tools. So the next one would be systems that actually save you time. So we're talking about CRM here, which also a controversial topic. I feel like you always see, people posting everywhere, what's the best CRM to use? Yeah. And like, I even went down that rabbit hole of doing all of this research, and yes, there are better systems for sure, and CRMs than other ones, but I think at the end of the day, it's whatever CRM you're going to actually use is the best CRM for you.
Yeah.
We've tried several ones. I've done Excel spreadsheets. I've done Trello. We personally use Lofty now, and I really, really am liking it now that I'm understanding it, getting to use it. It's very intuitive. It's got AI integrated into it, so I really like Lofty, but I think there's a lot of great systems out there, and it's just whichever one you're going to use. So does the team or the brokerage offer a CRM?
Yep. Every single CRM is good and every single CRM sucks. I mean, it just is what it is. And I think where agents struggle is they think, hey, this new system's going to change everything for me. And it can, but if your habits haven't changed, a system can never change anything.
Yeah. I think the biggest part of the CRM is, does somebody teach you how to use it and organize it? Probably organize is the most critical. If you know how to use the CRM, great. You know how to input a lead in. But how do you organize your pipeline? How often you're contacting them, when you should touch these people, how you put them in different categories. How you use it and organize it is so critical to feeling like it's not so overwhelming, and that you don't, when you open it up every day, because this is how I used to feel, like you don't even know where to begin. You have a million tasks in there to do. You have things in 80 different areas. Where do I actually focus my time and energy? I've input everything in here, but I don't know how to actually use the system.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot in what you just said. We think sometimes kind of like with your schedule, you build the perfect 8-hour day, and within the first 1 or 2 hours, it's completely broken. So unless you're extremely disciplined, I would hesitate to put a task on for everybody.
Yeah.
I hope everybody would do that at some point. I think Haley Rose does a really, really good job of doing the things she says she's going to do or keeping up with their tasks. But most people that set tasks for all their people, once you get 15, 20 that you're behind, it's like this. It's like the big scary room you don't go into, right? Yeah. And then you just don't even open the system because it's too much.
Yep.
So you got to be in a mindset of, I'm extremely disciplined, I can do this, and hold yourself accountable to those tasks.
Yep, exactly. And I do think I used to be a proponent of it's fine if you just use an Excel spreadsheet. If you're just really focused on only working your sphere and you have a very, very tiny database. But once you get more than a couple hundred people on that sheet and you're trying to actually integrate events and systems and different things into it, it is really hard to do on an Excel spreadsheet. And there's just easier ways to do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're doing that now, there's nothing wrong with that. But that would be the question I would tell you to ask if you're joining a new brokerage or team is what tool to use, how are you going to train me to use it, and how are you going to help me organize it? And if they can't articulate that to you, then that would be a red flag to me.
Yep. For what we do, the best way for us to organize our database is we have segments, or we break our whole entire database into 3 pieces. So we have basically come up with your own term, all leads.
Yep.
And then we have database and SOI, which is anybody that I like to say if you called somebody and you said, hey, this is Ashley, they would know who you are.
Yep.
If they know who you are, it should be database / SOI, and then build out one more level underneath that of VIPs of your top 50 people that are your biggest fans. That could be 10 people up to 50, whatever that may look like. And if you organize it in that way, I think it becomes a lot more easier to know like what emails go to who, what event invites go to which people, which group.
Yep, exactly. And then you can get more granular as you get more comfortable using it, and you do start integrating things like pop buys and giveaways or Husker magnets. And I have tags in there now of which people I want to get those, but that just takes time, and you have to really spend a lot of time at first up front getting it organized if you want to be that strategic about it, which a lot of people don't want to take the time to do because it is hard to see the value in it at first. You're like, wow, this is taking me a lot of time. But if you can spend the 5 to 10 hours up front to get really, really organized, it's going to save you so much time in the long run when every time you go to do something, you're not having to filter through hundreds of people or thousands of people if you have a huge database and trying to figure out who you're sending what to.
Yep, I totally agree with that. And then from a pipeline standpoint, ours aligns directly with our coaching, our coaching sheets and what we track. So we have 0 to 30, which is 0 to 30 days out, 30 to 90, which are your people getting ready to buy or sell, and then 90 plus, which we say goes to about a year.
Yep.
A year, maybe 18 months for some people. And then your database, that whole group we just said, is everybody after 18 months.
Yeah, and I call that long-term nurture in mind. So our agents are able to, we set up a template for them to follow, and then you can adapt that of whatever works for you. So I have all of those just that we'll explain, and then I have a long-term nurture, which is really just, they haven't raised their hand yet to tell me they want to buy or sell in the next year, but they're in my database. They're perhaps a past client of mine, and I want to continue to talk to them quarterly. So they're just in my long-term nurture.
Yep. For you, just a quick example, what would a VIP get versus just like anybody in your database that you know?
So a VIP would be invited to more of our like exclusive events that we do every year. Pop buys, giveaways. Giveaways are a little bit more broad. I'd probably invite other people in my sphere and database to that just because that's more of like a large net that I'm wanting to get in front of a lot of people. But they're going to be more of like your intimate settings type of things. I'm not going to invite 800 people to every single event we do. Yeah. So those would be the people that are getting more of the VIP treatment, I guess, if you will.
And your friends, right? Your family, the people that you go see for dinners and all these different, you go out of your way to spend time with them.
Yep.
You can integrate your life with your VIP list.
And don't forget about those people. That's another thing is I hear a lot of agents say like, oh, I want to reserve this stuff for other people that I want to get in front of because my friends and family are going to work with me no matter what. And you'd be surprised how many of your friends and family won't work with you or don't work with you if you don't stay in front of them because they also know 17 other realtors. So, like, your cousin may not use you.
Or you're at to see them and you might not have invited them to something. Like, they're going to be like, what the heck?
Yep. So, I mean, we just had a really good event for March Madness, and one of the agents was like, I'm sorry that so many of my family's here, and I feel bad that, like, it's mostly my family and not other clients. And we're like, that is totally fine. That's what this is for, is to include them and integrate them into our lives and be part of all of this.
Yep, like, include your biggest fans on everything, right? Like, they want to help you build your business and allow them to.
Yes.
Do you want to, for systems here, I know you love all things systems. Is there any others that you kind of want to go through that we offer or provide just to our agents, modern agent, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I think the other thing, and that would kind of go into marketing. So the other two things that we would tell you to ask is what type of things are offered for marketing and transaction support or the other systems and tools. So for us, I have down email marketing. We use Flowdesk. That would be something you could ask. Is there any type of email marketing system provided for how to stay in contact with your database or new listing marketing to get, obviously, your listings in front of people as well? And then same from like a design aspect. We use Canva. We pay for Modern Agent Social Club, Coffee and Contracts. I'm sure if you do anything with social media, you're very familiar with those resources on here. So we also provide that. And then from a marketing standpoint, videography, photography, Lance, who's filming our podcast right now, is in the room. That is provided to all of the agents on our team for all of their listings. So that is a free service technically to the agents that we handle everything from media for them for all of their listings with Lance. And that is just a provided service to be on the team. So
Yeah. Is that covers everything, systems, marketing?
Systems and marketing, yes, it does. I guess my question that I would tell you to ask is it more of just a do it yourself? Like, yeah, do you
Yes.
provide a videographer or photographer, but you're expected to edit the videos, post, all of that. So we also, Lance does all of the editing for us, and then Nicole, our marketing manager, she does all of the posting and tagging of the agent. So it really takes that administrative burden off of them from a marketing aspect as well for their listings or other content that they want to do. And then transaction admin support would be the other thing I would talk about.
Yeah. There's systems and value, right? We talk about what that looks like. Before you go under contract, it is skill sets, it's structure, it's scheduling, it's training, coaching, systems that help you with those things. Once you go from contract to close, it's a whole different type of value, right?
Yep.
And so what kind of things do you feel like we capitalize on from contract to close that separate us?
So I think the things that we offer and the things you should maybe ask. So from contract to close, and I'm considering signing a new listing as well as contract to close.
Yeah.
So from the listing standpoint, our team provides and pays for the pre-inspection. So that's a service that they can offer to their clients. That's paid for by the team. Pre-inspection, a pre-listing cleaning, and then all of the media, photography, videography, 2D floor plans, 3D Matterport tours if we do them, aerial drone shots, and then time, the listing manager. So Asia, as our listing manager, goes on all the listing appointments with them and coordinates all of those services for you. So the second you sign that listing, really Asia's handling everything up until it's going on the market. And then our admin support team comes in and helps with everything once you're under contract on those listings or the buy sides to close. So admin support and transaction services are included as well. And with that, we also do deliveries to everybody that goes under contract. So a little champagne delivery, a little bit added white glove service, moving kits for our sellers, that's all provided. And then our runners or our admin assistants are helping with all of that signage. So there's just a lot that goes into it on the back end. As you know, if you're a busy agent listening to this or a new agent, the things that you may not be thinking of as you do start to grow in your business of how heavy the administrative work is on a real estate agent that you just don't realize till you're doing a lot of business sometimes.
100%. Like all these little things get in the way of what's most important, which is we should be lead generating and we should be building our pipeline. So we want to do everything we can. We're not perfect, but we want to do everything we can to help our agents continue to build relationships and build their database, their pipeline, and to do sales. I think that's the most important thing. If you were to say, and we had to think of it this way, if our agents took 3 listings this week as an individual agent, if I took 3 listings this week, would I be strapped for time or would I still be able to lead generate?
Right.
And if you can't, that's when you got to start figuring out, like, how do I put these systems in place?
100%.
Buy side?
Buy side,
Different?
kind of touched on a little bit, same thing. So transaction coordinator services on the buy side, and then that champagne and balloon delivery for when they go under contract is delivered to them. And then post-close, all of the services that we're doing on the team, obviously. So events, pop buys, giveaways, and then our transaction team does their real estate tax statements and sends everything they're going to need for taxes for the year. It's just a little touch, but it's something that my clients reach out to me asking for those documents when they go to do their taxes. So it's something I talked to our TC team about. She's been doing that for now 2 years, and it's just another little thing, another touch that our clients really appreciate, and again, take something off my plate, having to go dig through my files trying to find the settlement statement for them.
100%. Yep. I totally agree with you. I feel like if that kind of wraps up our systems and marketing.
Yeah. I
feel like if you're going to be interviewing teams and brokerages or whatever your potential next move might look like, head towards process-driven teams and organizations versus leads and things like that. I think those two can work together.
I do too.
But if you have a process-driven team or brokerage, that's going to put you in a much better position because the path is already laid. You just get to walk that path, right? Like it's not something that you're having to try to figure out as you go.
Yeah, and I think it's you got to look at whatever team you join or whatever brokerage you join as a business partner. I see a lot of these reels, and where I did it too. Like you're trying to show your client the value you add as an agent by saying, I'm a marketer, I'm an admin assistant. You know those reels you see where the agents are saying, here's like the 90,000 tasks that I do for you as your agent. And although that shows the value that we provide, it stresses me out seeing that of like, I'm so glad I don't have to do all of that anymore because I am not an expert marketer. I'm not. I don't build websites for a living. I don't do social media for a living. And I think the agents that are trying to do all of that and be all of those things, there's no way you can actually be an expert in every single, I mean, I'm never going to be a great videographer and an editor like Lance. Like, I'm not all of those things. So look to ask the questions of, like, are they supporting you more as a business partner to help you with these things than provide a bunch of tools and services, but you don't know how to use them?
Yep. Yep. Here's your systems. Here's your tools. Here's your leads. Good luck. I hope you do well.
Yep.
No, this is how we do the things that we do. Right. And everybody's going to be, at times, they're going to be better, with their onboarding and their training, all that kind of stuff. And do they have a structure to help people succeed? If you hear something from the person you meet with in the organization, go call 2 or 3 of their agents. And if it aligns and they're saying similar things, you're probably going down the right path.
Yep. I think that wraps up today and tomorrow. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about the accountability tracking side of things, the return on investment, the dollars, the models, the splits on teams, get kind of into the meat of what I think is a lot, like the number one question agents always ask is, what are your splits?
Yep.
There's so much more. That's why we've done 3 episodes on this and all of the things you need to consider outside of splits, but we're going to dig into that next week.
Yep. All right, cool.
Okay.